Long time ago, in a certain Nigerian city, there lived two lovers named Timi and Obinna. Timi was the kind of woman people noticed even before she spoke. Not because she was loud or proud, but because her beauty carried peace. There was something gentle about her smile, something reassuring about her eyes. She was hardworking, disciplined, and deeply rooted in faith. Raised in a Christian home where prayers were as normal as breathing, Timi grew up believing that nothing good came easy and nothing honest came overnight. She was a Yoruba girl, born and raised in a modest home. Her parents were not rich, but hunger never slept in their house. They taught her contentment, dignity of labor, and absolute trust in God. Timi carried these values into adulthood. She met Obinna during their university days. They were both students of the same department, young, hopeful, and filled with dreams of a bright future. Obinna was an Igbo boy, tall, hardworking, and intelligent. He wasn't lazy, neither was he proud. From the very beginning, their love grew naturally. No pressure, no manipulation, no false promises, no lust. They understood each other very well. During graduation, they graduated with joy, believing that the world was waiting for them. But reality hit hard. There was no job. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. Application letters returned unanswered. Interviews came with promises that never materialized. Obinna watched his mate travel abroad, secure corporate jobs, and build houses while he kept waiting. Unlike many men who allowed frustration to turn into bitterness, Obinna chose hustle over idleness. With pain in his heart, but fire in his spirit, he picked up a keke napep on high purchase, waking up before dawn every day to battle traffic, insults, rain, and scorching sun. Timi, on the other hand, refused to fold her arms. She started selling thrift wares, both online and offline. She posted pictures, negotiated prices, delivered packages, and saved every profit. She believed in humble beginnings. Many nights, she would sit with Obinna after his exhausting rides, massage his shoulders, and encourage him. "As long as we are not lazy," she would say softly, "God will bless our hustle." She reminded him of great men who once trekked barefoot before riding cars. She spoke hope into his discouragement, and Obinna loved her deeply for that. Despite their lack of money, they were happy. They began planning a low-key wedding. Timi's family loved Obinna very well. They saw his sincerity and approved of their union. Timi, on the other hand, didn't dream of a lavish wedding. She just wanted to get married to the man she loved. Everything was going smoothly until the day Obinna attended his secondary school reunion, an event their old classmates organized once every 2 years. Timi had encouraged him to go, believing that it would lift his spirit. She stayed back at home, unaware that a single evening would quietly redirect the course of their lives. The venue of the reunion was a popular event center in the heart of the city, glowing with bright lights and loud music. As Obinna stepped inside, his heart sank. Almost immediately, he felt out of place. Expensive cars filled the parking lot. Sleek SUVs, polished sedans, vehicles he had only admired from a distance while riding his keke under the hot sun. His mates stepped out of those cars laughing confidently, dressed in expensive suits, designer shoes, and well-tailored gowns. Gold wristwatches glittering under the lights. The latest smartphone rang non-stop as people took pictures and answered important calls. Obinna looked down at himself. His clothes were clean but simple. His phone screen was cracked. His shoes were worn. Suddenly, the weight of his struggles pressed heavily on his chest. It felt as though every eye in the hall could see through him. See the keke rider behind the graduate. See the poverty he had tried hard to outrun. Conversations around him revolved around promotions, foreign trips, contracts, houses, and investments. Each laugh sounded like mockery to his wounded pride. Regret flooded his heart. He wished he had never attended the reunion. While others danced freely and toasted to success, Obinna sat quietly at a corner, shrinking into himself, drowning in thoughts he could not escape. That was when Emeka noticed him. Emeka, his closest friend back in secondary school, walked toward him with confident strides. He looked nothing like the Emeka Obinna remembered. He was dressed in an expensive outfit that fit him perfectly. His wrist heavy with gold. His scent announcing wealth before he spoke. Outside, his luxury car stood proudly like a silent testimony of success. They exchanged warm greetings, laughing briefly about old school memories. But as their conversation shifted to life after school, the laughter faded. Emeka spoke of achievements, progress, and connections, while Obinna listened quietly, nodding until he could no longer hold it in. "My brother," Obinna finally said with a trembling smile, "life has not been fair to me." The words spilled out like water from a broken dam. He spoke of joblessness, of the daily struggle on keke, of dreams that refused to materialize. Emeka listened without interruption, his face calm, unreadable. After the reunion, Emeka insisted on dropping Obinna at home. As they drove through the quiet streets of the city, Emeka promised to help him. They agreed to meet again, properly to talk. That night, Obinna could hardly sleep. For the first time in a long while, hope visited his heart. On the agreed day, they met at a well-known restaurant. They talked for hours about life, frustrations, dreams, and aspirations. Then Emeka leaned forward, lowered his voice, and said words that would change everything. "I will take you somewhere," he said. "You will meet my club members. After that encounter, your life will change for good." He described the club as a gathering of powerful men who helped one another rise. Obinna's heart raced. At last, a breakthrough. At last, an escape from poverty, he thought to himself. But he did not ask questions. He did not suspect danger. Hope and desperation blinded him. That same day, Emeka drove him to a huge, luxurious mansion hidden in a quiet part of the city. The gate opened slowly, almost ceremoniously. Inside, the air felt heavy. The sitting room was massive, dimly lit, and filled with men dressed in strange occultic attire, seated in silence. Fear seized Obinna instantly. He turned to Emeka for explanation, but Emeka avoided his eyes. Instead, Obinna was guided to a special seat. His heart pounded violently in his chest. Emeka excused himself and disappeared into an inner room. Moments later, he returned, dressed exactly like the others. Cold fear crawled down Obinna's spine. Before he could react, Emeka formally introduced him. Then the Grandmaster appeared. The ritual that followed was terrifying. Chants, incantations, blood, oaths. Obinna's spirit trembled as his destiny was rewritten in darkness. The Grandmaster looked straight in the face and said to him, "We shall make you wealthy, but you must pay the price. You must sacrifice any unborn child your wife conceived before he's 3 months in the womb. Failure to do that, you will pay with your own life." Broken, frightened, and trapped, Obinna agreed. He was helpless. From that day, wealth poured in like a flood. Almost overnight, Obinna transformed. He became a successful car dealer. Money answered him. Opportunities located him. He opened a very big boutique for Timi in one of the best areas of the city. Timi, on the other hand, was overwhelmed with joy. She believed every word Obinna told her, that Emeka helped him with capital and connections. She praised God endlessly, unaware that the man she loved and trusted had sold his generation in secret. People envied Timi openly. She lived in luxury, fine clothes, comfort, respect. Their wedding was extravagant, the kind that shut down streets and shook the entire town. Top personalities attended. Cameras flashed endlessly. Timi's smile never left her face. When she posted her marriage online, women started envying her, tapping from her blessings up and down. 3 months after their lavish wedding, when the noise of the celebration had settled and life had returned to its quiet rhythm, Timi began to notice subtle changes in her body. Morning nausea, unusual tiredness, a strange sensitivity to smells. Deep within her heart, a gentle suspicion began to grow. When the hospital confirmed it, Timi could barely contain her joy. She was pregnant. That evening, she prepared Obinna's favorite meal. Her hands trembling slightly, not from fear, but from excitement. When he returned home, tired from the day's work, she led him gently into the sitting room and shared the news with a glowing smile. "We are going to have a baby." For a brief moment, the words hung in the air. Timi waited for laughter, for excitement, or for surprise, for the wide smiles of a man about to become a father. But none came. Instead, Obinna's face hardened. His eyes clouded with something Timi could not immediately interpret. He muttered a weak congratulation and looked away. The joy in Timi's heart wavered. A cold uncertainty brushed past her excitement. She studied him carefully. "You are not happy?" she asked softly. Obinna forced a smile and blamed stress, claiming he had a difficult day at work. Timi, always understanding, pushed aside her worry. She told herself not to overthink. Not every man reacts the same way. The following evening, Obinna returned home carrying a live white fowl. The bird flapped helplessly in his grip, its feathers spotless and bright. "It's to celebrate the pregnancy," he said casually. Timi smiled again, reassured. They cooked together that night. They ate the chicken. They laughed. They celebrated. She thanked God. But before dawn, the next morning, sharp pain tore through Timi's body. Blood flowed. Confusion, panic, screams. By morning, the pregnancy was gone. Timi's world collapsed. She cried until her eyes swelled shut. Her tears soaked the hospital bed. Obinna sat beside her, holding her hand, whispering words of comfort. "God will give us another child," he said calmly. "The one that will stay." His voice was steady, too steady. The wounds healed slowly, and then hope returned. The second pregnancy came quietly, like a timid visitor afraid of being chased away. This time, Timi was careful, cautious, and prayerful. When she finally told Obinna, she watched his face closely. Once again, the same reaction, the same forced calm, the same white fowl the next day. They ate, they celebrated. The following morning, another miscarriage came. This time, Timi did not just cry, she broke. Her grief was louder, deeper. She questioned herself. She questioned God. Obinna held her again, comforting her, repeating the same words. But inside her, something shifted. After the second loss, Timi refused to remain silent. She visited hospitals across the city, private clinics, government hospitals, specialists, scans, blood tests, hormonal tests, what have you. Every result said the same thing. "Madam, you are medically okay." Doctors looked puzzled. Some even praised her reproductive health. There was no medical explanation for her losses. Then the third pregnancy came, and with it, the familiar pattern, the announcement to her husband, the silent treatment, the white fowl, the meal, the miscarriage. By now, Timi knew this was no longer ordinary. She withdrew into fasting and prayers. She woke before dawn, cried on her knees and begged God for answers. She slept with her Bible on her chest. She sang worship songs through tears. Then one night, she dreamt. She saw Obinna dressed in black. His eyes were red and bloodshot. In front of him was a newborn baby, screaming helplessly. Obinna lifted a pestle and began to pound the child inside a mortar. Timi screamed in her sleep and jumped up. She woke up drenched in sweat, shaking violently, her heart racing. She could not breathe properly. She could not understand what she had seen. At dawn, she called her elder sister and narrated everything. The miscarriages, the strange white fowl, the dream, and all. Her sister went silent. Then she said, "We need to pray and we need help." The next day, her sister took her to a man of God. After listening carefully, the man of God spoke with authority. "Your husband's hands are not clean." The words pierced her heart like a knife, and the man of God instructed her clearly. The next time you conceive, he said, do not tell your husband. Timi returned home changed, more prayerful, and more observant. Then she conceived the fourth time. This time, she kept her secret. She did exactly as instructed. Instead, she told Obinna she needed to travel to care for her sick elder sister. So she packed a few clothes and left. Timi stayed in her sister's house for 2 good months. And during that time, her life moved quietly, carefully, almost like someone walking on broken glass. Each morning, she woke up early, placed her hands gently on her growing belly, and whispered prayers. She avoided mirrors sometimes, afraid that joy might tempt fate. Every movement she made was deliberate. Every breath was prayerful. Her sister watched her closely, cooking nourishing meals, ensuring she rested well. The house became a place of refuge, wrapped in silence and faith. Timi rarely stepped outside. She kept her phone on silent mode, answering only when necessary. Her greatest strength during those weeks was obedience to God, to the instruction she has received, and to the small voice within her that said, this child must live. Obinna was someone in their coven. Inside the occultic coven, the atmosphere was cold and heavy. The air itself seemed hostile. As Obinna stood among the members, the message was delivered without emotion. Your wife is pregnant, the Grandmaster said. The words struck him like thunder. Obinna staggered back slightly, confusion spreading across his face. Pregnant? He asked. His wife had not told him. Fear crawled into his chest. Immediately, the next was followed, sharp, merciless. You know the law. You know the consequence. You will kill the unborn child before he is 3 months old in the womb, or your life will be taken in exchange. Panic overtook him. There was only one way, the same way it had always been. The white fowl. Obinna rushed home that night, his mind racing. He called Timi repeatedly, trying to sound normal, trying to hide the urgency in his voice. Come back home, my darling, he pleaded. Your sister must be better now. But Timi stood her ground. She's still very sick, she replied calmly. I can't leave her now. Each refusal triggered the noose around Obinna's neck. Then one quiet afternoon, while Obinna lay restlessly on his couch, the temperature in the room dropped suddenly. The air thickened. A presence filled the space. The Grandmaster appeared. His voice was cold and final. Obinna, he said, you have 3 days to kill the unborn child or pay with your own life. A word is enough for the wise. Before Obinna could beg or speak, the figure vanished. Trembling, sweating, desperate, Obinna knew time had run out of him. That very evening, he bought the white fowl. He slaughtered it himself, cooked it with shaking hands. His conscience screamed, but fear silenced it. He packed the food and drove straight to his wife's sister's house. He did not announce his visit. So when he entered the house, the living room was quiet. Sunlight filtered through the curtains. And there, seated on a chair, was Timi, heavily pregnant and alone. A slow, sarcastic smile spread across Obinna's face. Timi looked up and froze. Her heart skipped violently. She sprang to her feet, terror written all over her face. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice trembling. Obinna's face darkened instantly. "Why didn't you tell me you were pregnant?" he demanded. Timi stared at him, her voice suddenly filled with pain and courage. "So that you don't kill him the way you killed his other siblings," Timi fired back. The words hung in the air like fire. Obinna snapped. He pushed the plate of meat that he had carried with him towards her aggressively. "Eat," he commanded. Timi screamed and backed away. He grabbed her, forcing her to the floor, trying to push the meat into her mouth. She struggled, cried, and screamed for help. At that very moment, the door burst open. Her sister rushed in. Behind her was the pastor. Without hesitation, the pastor shoved Obinna away from Timi and placed his foot firmly on the plate of meat. He lifted his voice and began to pray. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Obinna began to shake violently. The Spirit of God arrested him. He fell to his knees, crying uncontrollably. "I didn't want this," he screamed. "I didn't plan to do money ritual. My friends lured me into it, and they didn't tell me the consequences." Tears streamed down his face as he confessed everything. The coven, the sacrifices, the price of wealth, the regret was raw and consuming. Timi stood shocked. The man of God asked him one question. "Do you want to be delivered?" "Yes," Obinna cried. "I want to be free." As prayers intensified, a sudden force entered the room. The occultic grandmaster appeared, roaring with rage, attempting to attack the pastor. But the power of God was stronger. Fire erupted spiritually. The grandmaster screamed and vanished into thin air. Obinna collapsed and was delivered. But deliverance came with a price. Every wealth he gained from darkness disappeared. Cars, money, houses, influence, all was gone. Everything vanished like smoke. Obinna returned to his keke business, broken, humbled, but free. Months later, Timi gave birth to a bouncing baby boy. Joy returned to their home, slowly. Obinna rebuilt his life. He bought one keke, then another. He gave them out on high purchase. Years passed. Eventually, Obinna became the CEO of a major transport company. By now, Timi was nursing their third child, and peace finally settled in their home. Obinna learned that not all blessings are from God. Shortcuts destroy destinies. Spiritual blindness can ruin love, and God restores what darkness steals. If you love my story, please subscribe to my channel, drop a comment, and like this video. I would like to know your thoughts about this story. What did you learn, and what is your contribution? Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.